Paris sells you light. It sells you the glittering river, the boulevards, the domes that catch sunset like shields. But the truth is that Paris only shines because of what it hides. Under cafes and monuments and neat apartments, an older city waits, miles of tunnels, carved chambers, sealed rooms, bones. And sometimes, if you press your ear to the manhole lid and listen, you can hear the modern city faintly breathing on the ceiling of the old one. This is the story of the illegal city beneath Paris, the catacombs you pay to see and the ones you are absolutely not supposed to enter. Start at the surface. You're standing by the Jardin du Luxembourg. Tourists drift like dandelion fluff. There's a bakery that smells like warm butter 3 doors down. It's hard to believe that below you, limestone walls run in all directions like the fossilized veins of a sleeping animal. Those walls built Paris twice, first as stone for palaces and churches hauled up from underground quarries, then assaports for the holes those quarries left behind. Remove the bones of a city and you have to replace them, or the ground remembers. By the 1700s, the quarries under the left bank were a danger you could measure. Streets cracked. Houses slumped. In some places, the ground simply sighed and fell. At the same time, Paris faced another problem, the dead. Churchyards were overfull. In summer heat, the stink climbed out of the soil and walked the streets. The answer the city chose changed its map forever. Move the bones out of the cemeteries and into the old quarry galleries, transforming a problem of the living into a geometry of the dead. They called the new ossuary the Catacombs de Paris, not because they were catacombs in the Roman sense, but because the word turned pragmatic storage into poetry. Between 1786 and the 1800s, cart after cart, night after night, carried millions of bones to be stacked underground. Workers arranged them with grim elegance, tibias and femurs laid into walls like bricks, skulls forming decorative bands, the anonymous dead rebuilt as architecture. You can visit part of that ossuary today, the official catacombs, with tickets and railings and exit lights. It's macabre and beautiful in a way that only humans could invent. But the official route is a postcard, carefully curated, carefully safe. What interests us is what lies beyond the handrails. Because the ossuary is only a small piece of a much larger underground. More than 200 miles of quarry galleries, inspection corridors, wells, shafts, drains, wartime bunkers, utility tubes, and strange surprises that have nothing to do with tourism at all. Some of the underground is mapped by the Inspection Générale des Carrières, the Quarry Inspection Service founded in 1777 to keep Paris from collapsing into itself. Inspectors left neat black stencils on the walls, street names, dates, cryptic numbers, so that a person underground can tell which avenue or square is in the sky directly above. But maps are like rumors. They fade, they conflict, they omit. A plan is a wish. The ground is reality. To understand the illegal city, you have to meet the people who love it, the cataphiles. They're not ghosts, not criminals in the usual sense, just stubbornly curious. Some are artists. Some are students with headlamps and strong opinions. Some are engineers who spend their daylight hours above ground keeping tunnels safe, then spend their nights below, exploring the spaces that didn't make it into the reports. They walk for hours, sometimes entire weekends, ducking through crawl spaces, sliding down chalky slopes into chambers whose ceilings shed grains of limestone like old snow. The cataphile code is simple. Don't break what you find, don't publish entrances, don't bring tourists, don't make it easy for the city to close the joy you have found. Not all follow the code, of course. No subculture is a monolith, but the best ones understand that the underground survives on quiet. Of course, the quiet has a counterpart, Catacombs, the special police unit that patrols tunnels and issues fines for illegal entry. It's a cat-and-mouse game with 1,000 exits. Some entrances are obvious, gaping holes in basement floors, manholes whose bolts mysteriously turn a little looser than the city intended. Others are masked behind utility doors or hidden in shrubbery where no one bothers to look. The game isn't fair to either side. The city can't realistically patrol every gallery. The cataphiles can't pretend what they do is safe. Because it isn't safe. The underground looks like freedom until the floor collapses or the light dies. The ground here is porous and layered. Water moves in ways you can't predict. Arrow-straight corridors become trap lines when a wooden beam rot-snap echoes and a roof sheet falls like a guillotine, and then everything is dust. There are pits with no warning, air pockets that steal your breath, and dead ends that feel like the inside of a locked throat. If you go without someone who knows the lines, you're not an explorer. You're a problem the fire brigade has to solve. The city knows the risks. That's why so much of the underground is officially off limits. But risk is only half the story. The other half is history, layered like pastry. During the French Revolution, the underground became a rumor factory. Conspirators were always said to be meeting under the city, even when they were just meeting in very boring rooms above it. In the Second World War, the gallery network carried real strategy. The French resistance stashed weapons, held briefings, and navigated under the noses of occupying forces. The German army dug bunkers and command posts down here too. Some of those rooms survive. Peeling paint, rusted bunks, the kind of signage that makes a chill run up your spine because the arrow points to a date that won. After the war, the underground did what it always does. It kept everything. Mushroom farmers cultivated button mushrooms in the cool, damp galleries. Beer and wine found steady temperatures there. In places, the city routed cables and pipes through old corridors because digging new ones would cost more. And then there are the surprises, like the secret cinema the police found in 2004, a projection room, a bar, rows of seats, even a menu. When they came back with a shutdown order, the equipment was gone and a note remained. Do not try to find us. That's the underground in one sentence. Present, then suddenly not. If you walk a long enough line down there, you learn to read the ground's handwriting. Chalky white walls mean limestone. Blue-gray patches tell you water has been talking to the stone for a long time. Blackened ceilings whisper of old fires. There are places where the walls are beautifully consolidated, bricked in to hold the roof up, and other places where the rock looks like layered pastry about to slump off the plate. At intervals you pass little shrines, a painting in phosphorescent paint, a sculpture made of stacked rubble, candles in niches, a full underground room with a name and a story that the surface will never hear. Then after hours of silence you meet the bones again. Not the tourist ossuary, the one with tidy warnings and Latin phrases. I mean the places where the dead were stored before they were arranged for the public. Piles that look like geology at first, rounded shapes in the corner of your eye, until your headlamp finds the human curve in the rock. It's impossible to stand there and not think about time. Paris turns people into architecture and then forgets the names. You're made of the same material. What the city asks is that you carry its anonymity with some grace. Above ground, the city keeps living. Traffic pushes dust through the cracks. Metro trains rattle old roofs. Cafes empty their dishwater into drains that run past 19th century stencils toward rivers that forget every story by morning. The underground bears the weight politely. It always has. Let's talk about the official catacombs for a minute, because they are the compromise between curiosity and caution. The tour route is about a mile. You walk down a spiral of stone, cross corridors that smell faintly of damp and stone dust, and then the wall appears. Bone stacked on bone, skulls looking past you as if they know the punchline already. The lighting is theatrical but not garish. The signs remind you that these were people and that their arrangement here is the city's solution to a problem no one plans for until a hot summer makes it smell like an emergency. People ask, is it disrespectful? The answer is not mine to give. I can tell you that the arrangement wasn't meant to be a freak show. It was meant to stabilize a city, physically, morally, hygienically. I can tell you that the workers who stacked the bones sometimes left small messages, initials, dates, a little flourish in the way a pattern turns a corner, as if to say, we did this carefully. And I can tell you that when the route ends and the daylight hits your face again, you feel taller, as if the ground loaned you some of its seriousness. But remember, the postcard is not the city. The tunnels go on. And the further they go, the more likely they are to belong to someone else. Someone with a flashlight, a code name, and a sense that the city's best secrets live where the cell phone bars die. There's another class of underground Paris we haven't talked about yet. Not quarries, not ossuaries, but sewers. Victor Hugo made them romantic. Engineers made them heroic. The truth is that Paris's sewer system is a great civilizational machine. Arched tunnels of brick and concrete, vaults where rivers that don't get postcards meet and decide who carries what where. There are tours of parts of the system, yes, and those are legal and fascinating. But much of it is as off-limits as any hidden gallery. The rule is the same. Just because a space exists doesn't mean it wants company. It's easy to turn this into a dare. We could flash coordinates and talk about slipping under fences and ghosting through the city like we own it. That isn't our job. Our job is to tell the story and let you feel the gravity. The illegal city beneath Paris is a museum with no tickets, and a hospital with no staff, and a library with books written in chalk and time. It's a place where people try on different versions of themselves because the surface sometimes demands too much polish. If you want to see it legally, you can. The official catacombs are real enough to keep you awake that night. The Carrières Museum exhibits give you the geology. Above-ground plaques mark the work of the quarry inspectors. You can even find guided tours of legal underground spaces that let you feel the damp air and the time machine effect without risking a fine or a fall. If you insist on more, if you think you're the exception, here's the only advice I can give you. Don't go. The city will not thank you. The underground will not forgive you. And the story you want to tell has already been told better by people who go down there without the burden of turning it into content. Paris will still be there in the morning, shining, practicing its little miracle of hiding a second city underfoot. The people who make the surface work will cross bridges and swipe into metros and drink coffee at bars whose foundations rest on limestone the color of old bread. Somewhere below, a cataphile will walk alone with a lamp and a rule in their head about leaving everything as they found it. Somewhere else, a catacomb will turn a corner and find a party that evaporates into the dark. In a room no one was supposed to use, a projector will paint light on a wall, and for 2 hours a cave will become a cinema again. And the bones? They will keep their polite watch, stacked in patience, while the living decide what kind of city they want to be. When you leave Paris, you take photographs of the river and the facades and maybe a plate of something perfect you ate near the canal. What you don't take is the sensation that the ground is a palimpsest the city is still writing on. You felt it without knowing. That's enough. So now you know. Paris is a two-story story. The visible one sells light. The hidden one keeps the bill. Respect both. And if you ever hear a voice in a tunnel that sounds like your own, it probably is. It's just the city reminding you that every beautiful thing stands on an older, darker thing that deserves a little silence. Subscribe to DarkCurio for more forbidden places and hidden history. And tell me in the comments, would you step beyond the handrails if no one ever knew you did?